Welcome to HW Hockey.
What's up, you beauties? Welcome to High and Wide Radio, episode 1 of season 7. I'm your host, Jim Iacovone, joined as always by Jack Smith. If you're catching us live on YouTube, make sure to smash that subscribe button, hit the alert so you never miss a show. For all you podcast listeners out there, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so you're first in line when the newest episode drops. Now let's tell you a little bit about our sponsor, Phans of Philly, Jack.
Flyers fans, we got something special for you today. Looking to take your game day experience to the next level? Then look no further than Phans of Philly. With over 14 years experience, you're the go-to team for putting together unforgettable travel packages for die-hard Philly sports fans. You're on mute. Mute.
Well, we're 2 for 2 with getting this tag team commercial right. So fans want to know why Phans of Philly. Let's break it down for you guys. They've spent years building the best relationships with bars, hotels, teams, transportation, you name it. Every trip they plan gets better, and trust me, they'll make sure your experience is top notch.
That's right, Jim. Whether it's scouting out the perfect hotel, finding the hottest nightlife, or securing the best seats in the arena, Phans of Philly has it all figured out. They know how to make your trip an absolute blast. So head on over to fansofphilly.com and book your next Flyers road trip today.
There you go, Phans of Philly. That's fans with a PH. So head over to that lovely site. They just had a trip to Brazil, Jack. Do you see that?
I did. And people wore green, which they were not supposed to do. But hey.
And chiming in season 7. We were talking about this, I think, after last week's episode. We almost made it 52 for 52, right?
We did 51 episodes last year. Could not believe. I was like, if I didn't known that, did the math, and know when we start our season, I would have put up a bullshit episode just to go 52 for 52.
We only missed 1 week. I don't know how we
can't believe it.
Yeah, we only missed 1 week.
I was on vacation. I do know that it partly was my fault because I was definitely on vacation.
No, you're fine. I mean, everyone deserves a break, Jackie. You know, even us.
But we were right there. It's like getting pulled in a ninth with 2 outs. Like, come on.
Yes, let's not talk about baseball. All right.
Oh, we'll talk later, you dickhead.
All right. So Teddy chimes in real quick. Is it free to get into Flyers rookie camp tomorrow? Yeah. All the practices, all the camp practices are free to attend. I posted the schedule earlier today on my Twitter account. I can bring that up for you real quick, Teddy, and for anyone else who would like to attend. Flyers rookie camp schedule. They start tomorrow, 11 a.m. And they practice till 12:30. That's Thursday, September 12th. Friday, they have a morning skate for half an hour before they head to Allentown. They have a game Friday night. I think it's at 7:05 or 7:30. I have to double check that one. And then they play again Saturday, 5:05 start time, which is nice. And then they're back home to practice starting Sunday. They'll practice Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, all 11 a.m. to 12:30 in the afternoon. So practice is open and it's free to all who want to attend. If you want to catch Michkov, Luchanko, Bonk, Spencer Gill, all those guys will be there. Denver Barkey. So get a chance to see these guys up close and personal. Will there be practices that only the media is allowed to go to? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure practice is open to the fans, right, Jack?
I haven't heard anything's media only. That's as much as I can say. So
yeah, practice is wide open.
With the game being free, I can't imagine that practices will be closed off for rookies. So
yeah,
you never know, but I don't think so.
Yeah, head down there. And you know, if we're on here or if you're on Twitter, you know, let us know. It'd be cool to hang out with some of the listeners and some of the viewers. It'd be cool to actually meet in person. You know, we've kind of had I don't know if I would say relationship, but we've been hanging out for how long now? Some of you guys, 5-6 years, you know. He wants to know not the rookies, but the whole team, vets and rooks. So when does training camp actually, like the actual training?
It's got to be like next week, because the first preseason games, like really not that far after that.
Yeah, it's like right after.
We're like, what's today? The 11th. Yeah. Well, first off, never forget 9/11. I meant to say that at the beginning. It's been, Jesus, man, what's it been, like 23 years?
Oh, 01. So yeah, 23 years already. Crazy. I remember that like yesterday, man.
Yeah, seriously. It was in 8th grade. Flyers were a lot better then. If the first preseason
I was going to say a lot of things were a lot better, but we can move on from that.
If it's the first preseason game is 22nd, they got to have some time to get some practices in. If it's at the skate zone, I mean, I remember walking in there as a civilian for a lot of stuff, but again, mostly rookie stuff. So I'm not 100% sure. They might have certain things closed off, but from what I understand, it's pretty, see what's available.
Yeah, it's the training camp's open. Like I know for sure. Like fans can just walk right in. I'm pretty sure they're not charging for anything for practices and scrimmages of that sort. But this weekend, I thought I saw tickets they're selling them. I thought I saw. So maybe double check us when you have time. But yeah, camp's free. So that's pretty cool.
Jim, just real quick, you ever been to a Flyers preseason game before we started doing this?
Preseason. Let me see. I'm trying to actually I may have against the Devils. Like an actual Flyers preseason game.
Yeah.
Either it was a really, really meaningless game or it was a preseason game. I really can't remember. Have you?
One. And it was either in 2016 or 17. And I want to say 17 because my girlfriend, now wife, got tickets. Because I would never go to a preseason game as a fan. As media, it's different. But as a fan, not doing a podcast, it just didn't do a whole lot for me. It's preseason. But she got the tickets. I hang out with her. What do I care? And I remember the pretty decent seats. Flyers got killed, though, by this young rookie up and coming from Boston. His name was David Pastrnak. It's like I had no idea who he was. I just remember I specifically remember seeing him skate behind the net, seeing his name, and being like, dude, this guy's killing us. And sure enough, the rest is history. You know what I mean? And it was one of the years where we're like, Flyers are going to be good this year. Yeah, little did I know.
He would proceed to kill us in literally every game he played in against the Flyers after that. Yeah. You got to see that before it actually happened.
I got to see it in fake hockey before he did it in real.
Okay, so I'm looking down our topics list here, and we're a little bit late recording tonight because of me, so I'm a little bit late looking through our topics list, and our first topic is prospects, and that makes sense because of the rookie series this weekend and training camp. Let's start it. I mean, the Flyers actually have offensive studs in camp. They had some very good offensive players in rookie camp in previous years. I'm thinking Tyson Forster. I think Joe Farabee's a couple of years back now, 3, 4, 5 years back now. But now I'm thinking Michkov. I'm thinking Luchanko. Barkey will be there again, who had a very good rookie series last year. Jack, who are you most looking forward to, kind of keeping your eye on this year during rookie camp and during the rookie games this weekend, which can be seen on PhiladelphiaFlyers.com?
So you name the big ones. Obviously, everybody wants to see Michkov. Luchanko is very interesting. Obviously, I don't expect him to make the team or anything like that. That'd be incredible. Barkey's another great one. Obviously, he's still a baby. It ain't happening. Just love his compete. I really do. A couple of guys I'm interested in, and I'm not talking about any like camp invitees or anything like that. So from the forward group, the names that stick out to me that made the roster here, Tuulamala is an interesting one because he had such a good season last year to start. AHL All-Star appearance. Seemed like when the game plan, like if you were a team playing the Phantoms, you were like, yeah, that guy's pretty good. We're going to game plan around him. And that seems to be when his game dropped off a bit, which is understandable. So I guess my thing is, can he work around that? Is he going to need help? Is he going to be able to work around it? Is it a little bit of both? When it comes to a rookie game, I do expect him to, and I have no idea what the lines are going to be, but I would like to see him do something. I mean, he's a guy that had such a great year last year, no matter how you slice it, but I would really like to see something from him. He was our top pick in 2021 when you consider the Ristolainen trade. And, it's just another guy we may have something in. I'm hoping I'm not going to see that one game, but for the season, takes a step forward. I'm out on Zay Wisdom. I don't even think it's worth mentioning him. He could surprise. But to throw I'll give you 3 more forward names. This might be long-winded because I have defense as well.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah.
Massimo Rizzo. Currently, probably outside of Luchanko now, who's literally just drafted, but probably our top center prospect. We'll see if there's anything to come from him. From the outside looking in, when we first acquired him, when I look at Carolina and their scouting department, why'd they let this guy go for so little? Tony DeAngelo, really? Like that automatically told me he's not going to be worth much, but you never know. The Phillies have taken players from, Tampa. Alvarado, say what you know about him this year, and even Christopher Sanchez. So, I mean, it's been done. Some of the best drafting teams let guys slip through their fingers, and Philadelphia can reap the benefits. So Rizzo, plus is a position in need. So Rizzo's interesting. Alex Gendron, believe he was, or Gendron, excuse me. He was a 7th round pick, I believe, who has done, he's definitely outperformed his draft slot. So he's just a curious guy. Just a curious guy to me. Did we hit some kind of gold, silver, bronze in the 7th round? I don't know. Intriguing. I'll try to keep it short. And then finally, Elliot Denoyer, who wasn't high on this guy this time last year. Now he's at a part where he might not get re-signed if he has another poor season like he did last year. Very possible. He was looking like a guy that was how we feel like Denver Barkey now. That was him 2 years ago. Going into last year, we're excited about him, and now it's like he could be out of everything if he has another bad season. I mean, I think it'll take more than one, but if we start acquiring a lot more picks and adding more prospects and whatnot, he could be, on the outside looking in, if not going altogether. So looking for a definite bounce back of some sort from him. Hope it lights a fire under his ass because he was looking great. On defense, Emil Andre and Oliver Bonk are 2 obvious ones. Bonk's probably I have him listed, and I'm trying to compile a Flyers prospects ranking list, and I have him outside of Michkov as currently our top prospect. That can change. I think based on where he was drafted, based on what he's done, there's a lot of shine there. He's shown a side of his game that nobody thought he had. We'll see what he has. I definitely like seeing Bonk. Andre could make the team or could push for injuries to take over a spot and be on the team long-term this year. So we'll see what happens with him. I don't think he had a bad season. I don't think he had a great season. I think he had above average season in the AHL last year. Hoping to see more out of him. Spencer Gill's interesting just because I like that draft pick. He's a big boy. Hels Grants, that's Jim's guy. We'll see what's going on with him. I found out today, guess who his agent is?
Yeah.
Kevin Overhart. The same guy as Cutter Gauthier. Ooh, that's fun. Just a fun fact for you. Just a fun fact for you. And the last defenseman I'm going to say is it's got to be Hunter McDonald. I mean, they've been spoon feeding us this guy for, it feels like years. And if I wanted to push it, maybe. If I really wanted to stretch it, I want to see what all the hype's about. This guy. I mean, yeah, he's the next coming of Chris Pronger minus all the offensive ability. So, hey, I'm making my jokes, but if he could legitimately be a guy they view as a bottom pair guy when they're actually trying to win, I'm all for that. And finally, in gold, the only one really worth a damn is Bjornsson. So I just hope he stands on his head, obviously, because he's one of our top goalie prospects. He's not my favorite prospect, but one of my favorite prospects is a little bitch and will not be appearing in camp. And I don't know if you want to talk more about the rookie game. It's not much to say about Kolosov, except for he's currently in Bitchville.
That's great analysis there, Jack. I would say that, you mentioned Spencer Gill. This is a player that I didn't really know much about when the Flyers took him. I've had the chance to watch him a little bit. You mentioned he's a bigger guy. This kid can also move the puck a little bit, right? And it seems like the Flyers are now they're prioritizing size, which I think is a trend we're seeing now. If you've noticed, the last few Stanley Cup winners have had bigger, longer, lankier D with longer reach. Tougher to play against in front of goal in the corners, but also they can move the puck. And I think Spencer Gill fits that mold. And so, this is a guy that we're going to get to see for the first time live. So I'm interested in watching him. Obviously, I think as most you would know, and most people who watch by now, I love watching Emil Andre. He's a guy that it looks like somebody commented here. Dave comments, I want to see if Andre can physically compete. And I know that we got to see it. And you don't have to take my word for it, but this kid's a gamer, man. He's how do I say it? I want to say that he's small. He's small in height, but he's tenacious. He's got that dog in him, if you will. I'm just excited to see him kind of play his game, because I think he has the ability to not so much take over shifts, but when he's on the ice, it's like his ice. He kind of dictates the pace of play, where the puck's going to go. Play is going to come through him. If the puck goes the other way, he has the ability to, get back. And, we're talking about a smaller guy in size. Let me look up his exact height here. Listed 5'9". All right. So he's 5'9" listed, and listed at 189, Jack. So I'm 190 and I'm 5'10", 5'11". He's listed 5'9". There's no way that he's 5'9". I've seen this kid. He's legit. He's like a head smaller than me. But to be 190 at 5'9", that's a stocky dude. Oh, Teddy, I think you missed this one, man. Jack, do you remember what episode we talked about this?
I'm surprised it wasn't Teddy that called us out, because somebody did the same thing in the chat when you told us. I think it was about a month ago.
I think it might have been. We'll have to dig up that episode, or just go back and listen to every one. That'd be cool.
All 51 out of 50.
Make sure it's on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Yeah. So Emil Andre, I think that's a great point to bring up by Dave. Can he physically compete? Like Flyers fans who haven't been able to watch the Phantoms want to see this kid, and I'm interested to see. Like, I thought he could have made the team out of camp last year. Remember, Jack? I think it was between him and Bonk, and Bonk ended up staying. Maybe Andre got sent. Didn't Andre have like a cup of coffee and then they sent him down, something like that?
Yeah, well, yes, they did. Bonk had to go back to juniors. They gave him like 4 or 5 games, and he did not start off well. And then he just went to the Phantoms and picked it up from there. Yeah. The NHL's, I'm not as worried about size as, don't get me wrong, certain people are tiny, like Denver Barkey. No matter how small and tenacious he is, he just has to put on size. And putting on weight, putting on size are two totally different things. And I think he'll be okay. He doesn't need to pronger it out there. He just needs to show he can stick and stay healthy. This is, I don't want to say make or break, but this is a big year for Andre. They were testing in the waters a little bit last year, but this year they expect him to, hopefully at some point maybe Risto gets moved. And if he can't stick out of camp, which is not unreasonable to think, but some point this year we got to expect injuries. He can come up. Maybe he goes back down. Maybe he comes back up, and then he sticks. I hope that at some point when he gets back up here, he can stick. I think they're hoping the same thing.
For sure. And, looking forward to seeing that. You mentioned Spencer Gill already. Who else obviously Luchanko, right? He was a surprise pick. Let's just face it. Even though his name came up, I don't think anybody was thinking the Flyers were actually going to take Luch. And I'm just going to, if nobody started that up now, we're going to start that now. Luch, right? Luchanko, get it?
Reminds me of Luke Richardson. It sounds like you're booing the guy.
Yeah, no, it's going to be the new Giroux. It's going to be Luch. I'm looking forward to watching this kid. All right, like I've watched some film, watched some tape. This kid's fun to watch, right? He almost feels like the McNabb pick. Remember when the Eagles took McNabb and everybody booed him?
They wanted Ricky Williams. Yeah,
I feel like there's a parallel there, because I don't remember seeing one person, us included, myself included, that was thrilled with the Luchanko pick, right? And I know as fans, we have a way of, kind of talking ourselves into, what's it called when, you're the captor, you're the cat,
You're talking about the Stockholm syndrome.
yeah.
Yeah.
As fans, we kind of have that little bit of a Stockholm syndrome.
You're the
right?
captee, and you fall in love with the captor. Yes.
Right. So it's like, you know what? Maybe they do know what they're doing with the drafting, and we all kind of, fall in love with the guy that. But we were able to watch some tape on this guy, and the way the Flyers play hockey today is Jet Luchanko to a T. The guy is fast. He gets out in transition quick. He makes himself available for guys like Spencer Gill, for guys like Emil Andre, for guys like Jamie Drysdale, as Anthony mentions. He makes himself available for the pass, for the breakout number one. And then in the blink of an eye, he goes blue line to blue line. And how do the Flyers play? We were just talking about it today, Jack. How does Owen Tippett score a lot of his goals? Travis Konechny, they get out in transition quick. They're responsible defensively, and boom, a lightning strike the other way. That's Jet Luchanko. So after watching him, the pick makes a lot of friggin' sense after watching Luchanko. And the guy can skate. How long have we been bitching about the Flyers drafting all these kids with all this potential? They can't friggin' skate. You don't have to worry about that with Luchanko.
Yeah, can't argue that. I mean, I think the hype coming into the draft, the potential trades right up until the draft, hurt this pick as well. That, and there was a lot of Boyum fans, you especially. Yeah. And I love the Luchanko pick in hindsight as a prospect in our system, but I envisioned going into that draft, somehow getting him trading back into the first round, still getting somebody decent at our own pick if we didn't move up, something like that. Like if I did want him, but I didn't want him to be the sole pick. But the more I read into things and the more information that comes out, I truly believe, I know they like this kid. I like that how young he was. It's almost like he's an additional 2025 first rounder, and you may have uncovered something here with how young he is. But I also think that Boyum's agent did play a role. I truly believe that, and I kind of am okay with that too, because we shouldn't have to worry about this shit. But the goofy world that we live in, it's just a fact. It just is what it is.
Yeah. That he's remembering back to draft night. I think that was all of us. We were all pretty. But that's the beauty of draft night, right? Like you get the raw response, the raw emotion.
It was true. I remember I took over for you at some point around that time. And in a way, it reminded me of the York, the York pick, because they did trade back. It was only one pick, but it was like, and then Boyum went off the board. It's like, what the? Here we go. And it wasn't Hellenius. It wasn't. I think there was another guy we were considering. And our chat broke the news, and I was like, no. And then they announced it. Holy shit, man! But I wasn't nearly as bad as when I melted into the floor. Look how that turned out. York's incredibly important to this team right now. So, I think I learned that this time around. So, at the end of the day, what do we know? We don't know shit. So
no, I do want to read Anthony's comment here. So Anthony chimes in on Luchanko. He says he was pretty happy with the pick. The dude has the speed, vision, etc. He's a forward version of Drysdale, and I really like that kind of description there. Can play the power play. He can QB the power play, read the rink well, and can stick with the play. Yeah, Luchanko's he's got a little bit of a dog in him. He's going to be a fun player to watch. We have
Hellenius, Berkeley Catton, who we were expecting the Flyers to get. Oh man, I remember the sky was bright back then. I remember that. He was like the floor. Him and Yamchuk were like the floor of what we were going to wind up with.
They both went top 10.
Well, when Beckett Seneca went third, I'm like, oh, we're definitely getting somebody. And it's like everybody knew. Like, nope, we all know we're taking everybody. Boyum, that's why Boyum was there too, to be honest. But what are you gonna do? Let's look forward. Let's just look forward, baby.
I like Anthony here too. Bonk has a better career than Boyum. Book it, and he might.
I like that.
And he might. So here's the thing that I don't know if people are going to go back and be like, Jim's full of shit or whatever, but as much as I do like Bouillon, and I still like him. I mean, I've said it how many times, Jack? Like Bouillon's a very good second pair D. I don't see him as a top pair guy.
You see a high floor, but a meh ceiling. And
Yeah,
the Flyers, they need the home run pick. They do. Even if they have to swing and miss, they got to swing. And so for that, I'm definitely on board.
Yeah.
And his that shit with his agent, like after I first heard that, and I was like, oh, go figure. And then after a while, I was like, I'm actually kind of on board with this because the way these American players are going, or the players who have a choice on where the fuck they go. Sorry. Like I'm out on that. I wouldn't be
First
against
F-bomb of season 7.
Oh, how long did I last? Oh, geez.
25 minutes.
Jesus. But like the fact that that's like a thing now, and no joke, I've seen multiple interviews with certain scouts. I wouldn't say GM yet. Where like, is the Cutter Gauthier McGroarty thing, like, is that a factor now? And certain scouts, like, kind of like they're not. It's nothing that they just go, oh no, we're not even thinking that. They're starting to consider this stuff. You cannot draft that high, top 10, and have a guy just leave your team and you get nothing for it. Like that'll set your franchise back years. Like that is a legitimate thing. Are we overreacting? Maybe, probably. But if it's a factor, if it's a possibility, you have to consider it. And if I was legitimately between two guys, both the same position, maybe different talents, but like overall growth right there, I'm not taking the guy. I'm taking the American. I'm taking the guy who I know is going to be in my system. That's me. But it's a real thing, man. And I'm starting to read. I thought it was just me until I started seeing more and more interviews from scouts. And this is like my third interview now I've seen where they're like, yeah, we're going to keep an eye out for that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's time, right? Like it's happening pretty frequently. Like more frequently than we've ever seen it. Yeah.
Only it's bullshit, dude.
Sean C chimes in with a comment. I wonder if Bonk impresses in camp that he gets his 9-game cup of coffee before they send him back to London. I would be surprised, but if he impressed to the point where that does happen, I would think that's a great thing, right, Jack?
Oh, absolutely. The only caveat to that is I think the Flyers' plan is for him to go back to juniors.
Yeah.
It would be great to see him play, but to me that means somebody else didn't impress enough to get that 9 game, unless they can fit them all, which I don't see happening. Probably somebody's injured, which whatever. If not, and he's the guy they bring up, I'm like, what happened to Andre? Like, was he outplayed or did he falter? And to me, it's like, I feel like we need to see Andre this year first. Bonk is always going to be there. We need to see Andre first. So sorry to pour some water on that one, but I'd be all about it. But it's a little more important for Andre if you ask me.
Teddy, I'm going to need you to like, I'm just looking down the comments, Jack, and I'm trying not to laugh out loud for some of this. So did Cutter not tip his waiter for a big meal? I don't know what this is. The handshake line, it should be every Flyer gets to punch Cutter before he leaves. Looking at the draft, Logan Cooley, that's a serious one. London, England. You want to do it, Jack?
Hello.
Yeah. There you go.
Or hello, Al.
Hello.
Hello, Kevin.
All right. One more comment before we get back on track. Anthony DeGrazio chimes in. This season is all about figuring out who is what. With bodies needing to be moved and draft picks to be traded, Briere and Jones need to find out who is worth what.
Well, you know who comes to mind immediately who is worth what when I read that? Will Scott Laughton be moved this year? Is this the year? Is this the trade deadline? Because if not, is he just going to retire a Flyer? Is he going to pass whoever has the record for most games played in Flyers history? Because it's getting a little silly. Not going to lie. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's time to get some value for this guy because there's going to come a point where he's not worth anything. And the best deal you're going to get to maybe a third.
Yeah. So let me, I remember, doesn't he have like 2 years left on his contract?
I think that's it. This year and next. That's it.
So
3 mil, which is nothing.
This year and next. Yeah. So, 32 years old. Yeah. When's his birthday? May 30th. So he'll be 33 by the time this season ends. Who's going to give you anything for a 33-year-old with 1 year left on his deal? kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I feel like the ship has sailed on any kind of first, I'd say, unless he freaks out.
No, I would agree with you. I would agree.
Which
at
is
this point.
irritating. It's like you lost Cutter, Kolosov's in Bitchville. You're gonna need to and they got I get it. They got 3 first-round picks this year. It'll be nice 4 or 2 more next year or 2 in this previous draft, something like that. And the fact they didn't jump on that, it's very. I understand his value to the team now, building a culture and all that, but dude, take the training wheels off with these guys. It's time. Get something for the guy. This is how rebuilds work.
Hang on, a couple Laughton. Chime in. Mr. Twitter. Scott Laughton will be here long after we're all dead.
It certainly feels that way. And I love the guy. It's not the point.
Yeah. Chris chimes in. We're 2 to 3 years away from a Laughton trade.
When I read that, it means they would re-sign him for a year. I'm telling you, they would. And it's not the craziest thing ever. It just makes me completely eye roll.
I'm wondering. So I'm pretty sure John Tortorella has a soft spot for Scotty Laughton, right? It's almost evident after last season. I don't think so. I'm on record as saying I don't think Laughton had as bad of a season as maybe he was made out to be, but maybe I just overlook things. It could be my own bias. Going into this season, so Laughton finished pretty strong last year, if I remember, right? He kind of got it back on track, right?
He started off really rough, and then he picked it up, settled out, and then was pretty strong. And actually, in my opinion, his overall numbers don't show that, but he played it well enough to recover how bad of his beginning of the season was. And it was a good length. It was well into December. He was rough. So he played pretty strong to make up for that and whatnot. So
do you think it would be fair to say that the Flyers have enough vets that they can kind of transition away from guys like Scott Laughton? I'm thinking of now. What the hell? Why can't
they just re-signed your boy
Hathaway?
Yeah. He was supposed to be a trade candidate this year. He's got this year and then 2 more years. He's a vet.
Delorier's a vet.
Delorier's a vet, but
locker room guy.
But look, they essentially said it when they re-signed him is Poehling. Poehling was supposed to be the guy to replace Laughton. Not to mention, and I might be jumping the gun a little bit, one of 2 restricted free agents after this season is Noah Cates, who's we know is a bottom 6 guy. How many bottom 6 guys are you going to have? If you can get value for somebody, get value for somebody. Obviously, if they traded Hathaway this year, how bad that would look. You extend the guy 2 years and then move him. Nobody would want to sign here. They'd be like, what do you do to your guys? It's ridiculous. So Hathaway's not going anywhere. Poehling's not going anywhere. Noah Cates, unless he plays poorly, he's not going anywhere. That's your whole 4th line right there. You got the hell's his name? Yeah, who's our other third line winger? Completely blanking. Same draft as York. No, Atkinson. Yeah. Oh my God.
Not Forster.
No, the Bobby Brink. Jesus Christ, Brink. I couldn't think of Brink. You got Brink down there, who's a young pup already. You want to make room for guys to come in and dip their toe, maybe a Tulamalo or somebody like that. You lost Atkinson, but you brought in Michkov, so it's not like you made room. You just move the guy. Come on.
Yeah. Good comments here. I want to bring some of these up. Vinny chiming in now. It's been a couple episodes since we've seen you, Vinny. Hope you had a good summer.
Yeah,
evening, gents. Vinny chimes in. All right, let's get to some of these because there's some good stuff in here, and I do want to get to Noah Cates, Cam York. Definitely want to talk to those guys. So we're going to move on in just a second here. Chris chimes in. Laughton's the new Raffle, and maybe he is. Because he still is that Swiss Army knife kind of guy. But the thing is, I guess it's who can definitely replace him? And maybe we're going to be talking about 2 of those guys in a second, and Cates and Poehling. But Ann chimes in, Hathaway, Sealer, etc. And that was to my point where I think they have enough vets to where they can sort of hand the room off. They don't need to be clutching on to Scotty Laughton anymore, because they need to make sure the room's good. I think they have enough guys to where it's okay to move on from.
They do.
One.
They do. When do you cut the cord? At some point, we got to cut the cord here. I love Laughton. But we're not a playoff team. And if we are, we're a one and done playoff team.
Yep.
Like, let's go.
Vegas Woe chimes in. What about those 2 older Swedes we signed? One is a center. I think those are most likely AHL guys.
Yeah,
They'll get their
no doubt.
shot in camp. Maybe there'll be guys the Flyers can call up if there's an injury. I think I watched both of them, or maybe just one. Can't remember, but watching them, somebody will have to remind me of their names.
I think it's Oscar Eklund was one.
I remember there was a bigger one, and then
And then was there Rodrigo Abois?
yeah, that's it.
Abois?
I think Rodrigo was like Austrian or something, right? I mean,
Yeah, that name is like
kind of throws you off a little bit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So this is depth. This is organizational depth at best, unless they surprise the hell out of you, which is incredibly rare.
Yeah, we gave 2 guys a shot. See what they can do in camp, and maybe they surprise it. But if I remember correctly, it was clear, and they kept doing it through the draft too. They were shoring up on size. If I remember, these are 2 bigger guys, especially Eklund. So we'll see. We'll see what pretty sure they're going to be in the AHL. Of course, they'll get a shot out of camp to show what they can do. All right. Holy F, Noah Cates is still on the team. Forgot about him. Yeah, he got the 2-year deal, right, Jack? And he's going to be, is it an RFA again after this season?
He'll still be an RFA, but I think it's like 1 year left. So they got to make a decision. He had a rough year. He was very injured at the beginning of the year. He was off to a slow start. But when he came back, he was a part of the best line the team had, which says something. It's your 4th line, but it is what it is. They were scoring. Their overall metrics were great. They were de facto the best line in the last quarter of the season, and it's part of the reason probably why they went on their skid. Your 4th line can't be your best, but nevertheless, he was a part of that. So I want to see, they're going to want to see him do that all year and maybe chip in a little more offensively, not just being healthy for most of the season, just overall. And, that'll determine a lot of what his next deal is going to look like. I don't think he's going anywhere unless he has a Wade Allison type of season.
Yeah, I would say if he has another year like he just had, that would be instant. So I'll say this, and I think we talked about this a number of times. The Flyers wanted to sign him to a longer contract than what they did. The player sort of bet on himself. I'm sure the agent knew that the cap was going up and told him, sign the bridge and get yourself a nice chunk of change when the cap goes up. You can get more money when the cap goes up. So unfortunately, Cates was hurt for a chunk of last year. He was kind of betting on himself kind of thing. And now he needs to have a good year for that plan to actually happen. And so let me put you on the spot here, Jack. If Cates if he has another year like last year, what do you do with him?
Does that mean he finished strong, or do you just mean like overall?
I guess, let's say he doesn't get hurt, but he finishes with, similar, let's just say similar numbers.
But like inflated because he played all year?
Yeah, I guess let me see what he finished with last year. Maybe we could bump him because I don't know how much he's going to be scoring on the 4th line. 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points, 59 games. I don't know. I mean, what are we expecting from Noah Cates?
What's he making right now?
I think it's 2.3. Hang on, I have it up. 2.6
Really?
He's making.
It can't be much more than that. I mean,
so Scott Laughton's not making much more than that. I want to say like 3.2 or something.
I think Scott Laughton's 3 flat.
Okay, so he's going to be making more than Scott Laughton.
And I know the cap's going up, but if he has essentially the same year as he had last year, and instead of finishing strong, he's kind of steady throughout the whole year. If that line is still very effective, I can see him getting a little bit more, but nothing serious. Like he'd have to chip in offensively considerably more. And just staying healthy shouldn't get you paid more money. So I really have to see what he did, because if the offense isn't there, but that best line in hockey, they play like that for the majority of the year, then he's in line for a raise, just nothing crazy because you're talking bottom 6. It's probably be a bridge deal regardless of what he does. I don't see, unless because 2 years ago when they wanted to sign him long term, it looked like he was going to have some goal scoring to not be his game, but to go along with his game.
Yeah.
Like, like he would teeter with 20 goals or something like that on a really good year, 25. That might sound ridiculous, but Maxine Talbot, who we signed from the Penguins his first year here, scored 19 friggin' goals, and he was a fourth line guy. So it's like not insane. So like if you have a guy like that who just does everything Sean Couturier defensively and can chip in occasionally offensively, that's in line for a good raise and long term. But if he can't stay healthy and he doesn't really chip in offensively like you like, they're almost replacement level guys. So you really got to be careful with what you do there. Honestly, my answer is they sign him to, if he has 1 year restricted, he gets a 1 year prove it deal. Maybe the same he's making, maybe slightly more. And like, we'll just renegotiate next year when we have a better idea of what you are.
I think solid answer. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with him, to tell you the truth.
I would never do that with somebody like Morgan Frost, because in 1 year, if their offensive numbers, especially with a guy like Michkov, like that happens, then you have no leverage. Your leverage is gone. So you're ponying up the dough. A guy like Cates is never going to do that, and if he does, then you just, then, play the lottery. So like, you're not going to get burnt too bad in that regards, because you know what his game is. You've already seen that shine. So there is a difference there.
Yeah. I like Vinit's point here. I would play Cates at 3C between Farabee and Brink. Not sure you can have all three, Cates, Laughton, Poehling, in 2025, 2026. And who's the odd man out for you there, Jack?
They'll move things around, but it sounds like Laughton gets bumped to the fourth line.
Or or like even just off. So I happen to really like Ryan Poehling. I like him as a player. I think he does a lot of good things on the ice. He's fast. He's I don't want to say, if I say physical, people are going to think like he hits, sending these big hits. He's a physical player, takes care of the puck, good defense, sound defensively. Let's say that. Valuable player. And, they proved that they like him. They bumped him up to the third line. They, however much you would disagree with the decision, and I think Jack and I would both agree that putting him out on 3-on-3 overtimes was a bad decision. I think it showed what the coaching staff thinks of him as well, even if it was the wrong choice. Yeah. So I happen to really like Poehling, and I like guys that bet on themselves kind of thing. He busted his ass, earned a contract kind of thing. But Cates can make it easy. He can make the decision easy to move on from Laughton if he has a good season this year. If he has another season like last, where I know he got hurt, it makes the decision difficult. Can we move on from Laughton? We don't really know what we have in Noah Cates yet. Because it puts him in a tough spot. Like, Laughton's got a year left. They want to give Cates a deal. But if he doesn't show you something, how long can you sign him for? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you just need to get something for Laughton. It just goes, for me, it's just get the training wheels off and gotta let you guys go. How long are you gonna hang on to this? Love the guy. There was a comment earlier I wanted to address that said, how's it look if you trade Laughton after the entire team basically walked into the office and demanded he'd stay? My answer to that is he did stay. He stayed well longer than he should have. It's some point you're running the team, and the team needs to grow up essentially. And Sanheim's like a seasoned grizzled vet at this point. Like, Christ, how long's he been on the team? These guys have been on the team plenty long enough. It's time to go. Michkov barely knows who the guy is. I think it's good they're going to be there for a season, but it's time to move on, especially if you can get something for him. So, and we have all these questions about who's here now and who we want to add. Well, somebody's got to go. So if Kate, they already like Poehling, Hathaway's not going anywhere. If they like Brink, obviously. So Delorier's a guy you bench. So if Cates is good or good enough, you got to do something. So
I appreciate these kind of comments here. These little memories. I think you mentioned Max Talbot earlier. First career NHL goal was against the Flyers on an offside faceoff shot on Antero Niittymaki, as he immediately went off for a change. And I think I remember that.
Was that the one where Niittymaki wasn't paying attention?
I think it was.
Like he's looking up at the scoreboard or something.
Something
Dude,
like
I remember being, if that is the same goal, that's hysterical. Because I was at the movie theater in the parking lot, listening to the game of the radio, waiting for like my friends to get to the movie theater. I remember being like, I think it's even what the hell is Coatsy was pissed. He was on the radio. He was just like, dude, what are you doing? Like it was like 2007, something like that. 6, 7. Yeah, exactly. He's Mr. Nice Guy. He's defending Fletcher for booing him for ruining our franchise. You know, if he's mad
about that. Oh,
that was like the last memory I have of the guy, and he's such a nice guy. And I
if,
love.
If I see Coatsy this year, I'm gonna ask him if he wants to
Did
come
he retire?
on.
Did he retire?
did, but he still walks around, like he owns the place, and he does. I
Jim,
mean, he
tell me
should
if
walk
I'm
around
wrong.
like that.
I love him. He's a nice guy, but tell me if I'm wrong because I've been up there like 4 times. He will give you a look like he knows you, but not say anything to you.
That's what he gets me with that. I say hi to him actually. So it sounds like you had the same experience. So you know how somebody's face will light up like they know you when they're about to say hi,
right?
They go, and then
That's
he just keeps
exactly
walking. It's like,
well, when I first went, it was COVID, so he had a mask on.
Yeah,
and I had a mask on. I'm going to the bathroom. He's walking. I know Coatsy. I've been watching him my whole life. And he just did one of the, it was like a, he's like, yeah. It's like, I guess I appreciate that. It's not like some guys will, I think Keith Jones held the door for me. That was pretty cool. I was like, this definitely before he was president. But yeah, no, that was funny. I said, Jim, he tried. Most guys won't even try. At least he tried.
Nah, yeah. I thought it was just me. So now I feel a little better. I thought he was just punking me.
No, that's everything.
Like, this bald asshole. I'm gonna
I
get him again with the fake high.
I want to know if he does it to people he knows too. Like they know, like they've had conversations.
Yeah.
See him do it to Tim Saunders. That'd be hysterical.
Chris, I think, trying to get me fired up over here. I like Brink, but I can't get over the horrendous shift that turned into a goal. Dogged it. And I think that's the one against Montreal.
Like people had an issue with Torts getting that upset. I didn't. Like at some point, they're still getting paid millions of dollars and they need to be taught what to do and what not to do when they're that young. They're like, oh, he's gonna be scared to do what he does. I'm like, no, he shouldn't be. Not if he's living in Bitchville with Kolosov. Like, come on, man. Like the guy's this is why he's here. Torts isn't going to take us to the promised land. I think we all understand that, but he's going to get the best out of these players and get rid of bad habits like shit like that.
Hey, he's going to Ed Wade it up. Who was the coach during Ed Wade era?
You talking about the Phillies?
Yeah.
Was it he went on.
Was it Terry? What's his name?
Francona.
Yeah.
He was first. It was him, and then it was our old shortstop from the 80s, Larry Boa. Then it was Larry Boa, and then there might have been one more in there.
That's a perfect one, then, because Larry Boa and Torts are kind of similar, and they
get angry. They get angry.
But yeah, Ed Wade built the Phillies, and then whoever coached them, but neither coach nor GM saw the fruits of their labor as the next coach went on. Charlie Manuel went on to win the World Series and whatnot. So, there's something interesting in the chat here, Jack, and the topic came up earlier today in the HW group chat. So it wasn't one of our topics, but maybe we can discuss it here for a second because Anthony's here in the chat too, so maybe he'll chime in. Occam's razor, Matvey Michkov, first-year production floor is Kucherov's first year, 18 points in 52 games. He chimes in one more time. Matvey's ceiling is Bure's 60 points.
Oh, my God. If he was Pavel Bure, that was one of my favorite players growing up, non-flyer.
In 65 games, and just mentioning Michkov in the same sentence as Kucherov, Pavel Bure, that should that's getting me a little bit excited over here. I got a little tickle going on.
I saw your mic shake. I know.
Like we're comparing like Pavel Bure. Dude, we have he's on the Flyers, dude. Michkov's the Flyer. Kucherov's been, he's been, I'm sure a lot of people's one of their favorite players, but I don't have many favorite players off the Flyers. I just, I enjoy watching other teams, and I really enjoy watching other players play well, like the McKinnons and whatnot. But as far I don't even really have favorite players on the Flyers, to be honest with you. But I guess what I'm saying is Kucherov's a guy when they're in town to play the Flyers. I I zone in on Kucherov. He's the only guy I'll watch on the I ISO on Kucherov just because he's so amazing. Like when players like Kucherov come to town, just watch him. Don't watch the puck. Don't watch anything else on the ice. Like he's like a magician. And so Kucherov's a player that I really admire. I really enjoy watching. Flyers are going to have a player like that, Jack, and we get to watch him every single night.
It's been too long, man. I mean, I feel like they didn't even talk. The league didn't even give Giroux that kind of like credit. But as far as like fancy play, especially goal scoring, I can't think of a time we ever had a player like that. Like even Carter, 40 goal years and whatnot, like Gagne, they weren't supposed to be on the level like this. That being said, we should temper expectations a little bit. I want to get excited, go for the gold, but he's young. He's a young cat. You know,
Well, what do we think here? What like let's talk about it a little bit because I feel like we're all in this sort of the same ballpark, but like for Michkov, what's a realistic floor, like production wise, in terms of goals, points, and then what would you actually like to see realistically? Because we'd all like to see 100-point seasons out of the gate, 50 goals, yada yada. But realistically, what do you think?
Realistically, I can see him being anywhere from 20 goals, 30 assists for 50 points to 27 goals, 40 assists ish. You know, that puts him in the anywhere from 50, 67 points. If you think he's going to be in the Calder race, 67 points puts him probably top 2 in the race. So anywhere from 50 to 67 points, 50 is not going to win it for you, but like it's definitely possible. And as Oakham Razor mentioned, Burry was a guy, and that's at a time where goal scoring, although I'm not sure what year that was, eventually the dead puck era came around. But look at Kucherov, who wasn't a first round pick. I believe he was a second round pick. He was a second round pick, and Point was a third round pick, I believe. So maybe there's something to that. Those guys go later for a reason, you'd assume. And Michkov was one of the better players in the KHL. Mind you, wasn't the best player. He didn't dominate that league. He just played incredibly well for his age. So there may be a learning curve in that regard. He's still very young. That's where I get the 20 goals, like low 20s on goals, low 30s on assist-ish, because he should get the playing time to get those kind of numbers. And no matter what you say, Jim, if he's on that power play, it's a itty bitty bit improved despite Rocky Thompson. But if he's like the real deal immediately, nobody's going to do what Ovechkin did. But I do think he could, you're only at that point, you're only asking for like not even 10 more goals, but the assists are up there. So you'll have to see who he plays with, how well the team plays together. A lot has to do with some of the other players on the team, like Drysdale. Ultimately, we'll see. So I think anywhere between 50 and we'll say 65 points. If he is lower than that, I think people are going to be really disappointed, but it's definitely not the end of the world. He's a young kid, culture shock, bad team for the most part. And not everything's a straight line in growth. So we'll see.
I think there's some great points in the comments here, and we have sort of predictions sort of all over the place. So I want to get to these all real quick. So Chris Bennett chimes in. Bedard with 61 is at 61 to 68 with Kurashev and Nick Foligno. Michkov gets 60 plus in 65 plus games with the quality of teammates. And that makes sense.
I mean, he's a winger. He's a winger compared to a center.
So here's my question on that. And I'll look it up real quick. Go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
Well, they do agree with the quality of teammates. You assume, if we're going to find out a lot about Frost this year too. Apparently, he's the only guy. Although I think he played fine with Couturier, but how long is Couturier going to hold up for? Is Frost going to be able to play with Michkov at the level that we appreciate? And what about the other guy on the line? Is it going to be Forrest or is it going to be Tippett? Is it going to be TK? How's the power play going to do? I'm sure that Chicago's power play was much better than Philly's power play, regardless. And you can really compile some points in the power play as well. So there's a lot of factors in there, but ultimately, and I obviously think Bedard's better, but by how much?
So Bedard had, let me just double check that. He had 4 goals on the power play and 17 assists. So he finished with 61 points, and 21 of those came via the power play. And that is a factor. If the Flyers can't get their power play figured out, obviously we're looking at lower point totals for Michkov, right? And I'll assume like Dave chimes in here with 15 goals. I think that's 30 assists or 30 points. I'm pretty sure that's 30 assists, right, Dave? An important point is going to wear down over the season. If the Flyers don't get their power play figured out, and I'm sure we can discuss this on a future episode. Let's keep it positive here. We got 5 minutes left. We don't have enough time to talk about how to fix the Flyers power play. We need like a full episode for that. Anyways, if he can start chiming in, if they can get the power play going a little bit, and as you mentioned earlier today, if they can go from 32 to 29, something like that,
Take it.
you assume it means they've scored more goals than last year, or at least more goals than 3 other teams. I guess long story short, if Michkov's going to be hitting 60 plus points, this is my point. At least a third of that will need to come via the power play. That's what, a third of Bedard's points came via the power play. If the Flyers don't get the power play going, if they don't figure it out, if we go through another year like the last 3, Flyers are the only team in it. This is a Colin Newby stat, friend of the show. Flyers are the only team in NHL history to finish 32nd in the power play in the NHL. And they've done it 3 years in a row. So they need to figure that out, if only just a little bit. I think, so my prediction for Michkov, I think 50 points is I think rational. I'm thinking, I don't know if they get the power play any more figured out than they have last year. I think maybe going into next season, it'll be more of a priority. I like some of the pieces that'll be on the power play that maybe weren't there at the start of last year, Drysdale being one. Excuse me. But I see Michkov getting between. He's got the potential to get between 20 and 25 goals. At least he should. Let's go on the low side. Let's say 20. And let's go with 30, 35 assists. I think that's reasonable. I think he can hit those. Flyers have enough guys that can put the puck in the net where he could be getting assists, by accident, getting some second assists. There'll be some primaries in there as well. So don't get me wrong. But I think, 50, 55 is my range for Michkov this year.
And that's fair. That's realistic. The only number that really scares me is anything under 50. And even then it's like, it's his rookie year, but I think expectations are just so high that you just expect the world. Yeah. I mean, everybody's different. He is still very young. We're excited for obvious reasons. We see what he can do out there. A part of it's not just points. I just want to see how he plays and how he competes and how dynamic he is with the puck. Because if he hits like 49 points, but the power play, he's got like 3 points, like I can live with that. At the same time, if he hits 63 points and he has 5 on the power play, I'm like, damn, like we get his power play figured out. Like he's gonna freak out. So there's a lot to keep in mind here. We're also got to keep in fact that Torts is gonna give him a little bit of a longer leash, but how much? He can't be Konechny it out there. Konechny had to earn that role. We all knew how good Konechny was supposed to be, but it wasn't until he actually proved it that he started getting that leash. So, there's going to be a lot to this. I don't think it's going to come right in day one and freak the hell out. Although that would be really nice. Give me opening night, first Flyer to score, even if it's in Vancouver, 10 o'clock at night to start the season or something. I'd be all for it. I know we all would be, but yeah, I don't want to kill him too much for points, but there is a threshold of points where I would be a little worried if he didn't hit that, especially if he was healthy. If he only missed like 4 games the whole season, there is a threshold I'd be a little bit like concerned. You can't get too crazy about it in 1 year, but if you have like Celebrini, Cutter, 2 other guys finish solidly ahead of him in the Calder voting, it's like didn't see it going that way. That's kind of tough because they're not exactly playing with good teams either.
Yeah. I like Vinit's comment here. San Jose had a top 15 power play last year. That's a surprise to me. I did not know that.
Wow.
Personnel is not the issue. Rocky Thompson clearly worked with the CIA and has picks of torts. Yeah, and that's surprising. Didn't know that about San Jose. And look, while I think that personnel is a bit of an issue, Rocky Thompson's not without blame. So I just want to make sure, he has something to do with it as well. And DG mentioned it in our chat today. If Rocky Thompson's the problem and he continues to be here, who brought in Rocky Thompson? Right? Then we got to start because I'm a torts guy, but accountability, responsibility, that also applies to the guy that preaches it. If you brought in this guy, he stinks. Are you going to get rid of him, or it comes back to you?
Yeah, and it's like the whole accountability thing.
Right.
It didn't mind me too much with certain things and him talking to the media. Like, he's the coach. I really don't care about that too much. But you're leading a ship, and when your first mate is like screwing up that badly, you got to do something. There's no doubt. I don't know if he should have lost his job this year, Rocky Thompson, but maybe the power play duty should have been taken away. Maybe they should have done something else. Here, Leclerc is really involved now. Obviously, it was Patrick Sharp as well. Studs on the power play. Like, we'll see. Personnel was part of it, but I agree. Like, at the end of the day, they're all professional hockey players. You're up one guy to them. You should be able to do something.
Yeah.
I understand, net front presence, shots from the point, this, that, the other thing. You're up a man. You should be able to do something. You should be able to do more than what you did. Especially for 3 years, they finished 32nd. Come on. Let's go. They got enough talent now to have a better power play than that. San Jose, top 15. You tell me it's a personnel thing? Like, Jesus Christ. Where was Rocky Thompson before here, by the way?
I think San Jose.
I think so, too. I want to know how much the power play improves.
So maybe it's like after he leaves, that's when the fruits of Rocky Thompson really begin to show. So, like, what are we doing here? Yeah, the sooner we get rid of him, the better, maybe.
Maybe they're just waiting for the push for the playoffs, and then they'll get rid of him. Okay, we're ready. Thompson, you're out of here. So
Scott Taylor's speaking my language in the comments here, but like I said, we'll get to this stuff. So Scott's reading my mind. They need a net front guy. They need a shooting threat.
We'll get that.
We'll get there.
When we're going to be top 10, top 5, that's when we get talk about that stuff. For now, we just need to be better than the other team on the ice when we're up a man. That's all I'm asking.
All right, let's so we're not going to get to all these tonight, all the topics tonight, but that's okay. We have, what do we want to do, Jack? So we did Kate's. We touched on Kate's. Frost and York are also up after this season. What do we think happens there?
I want to double check York. The big one's Frost because of who he'll be playing with. And I kind of alluded to this question our last episode. Like, how much stock are you putting into his overall stats if he plays the majority of the year with Michkov? It puts up some serious numbers. Like, are you just going to buy in? Oh, he's the guy we thought he was, Excuse me. Or are you going to be, I need more sample size. I need to see him do that with everybody, not just these stud players. That's an interesting one, and it could bite you. Giving him a long-term, high-money deal could really bite you in the ass.
This is Frost.
Yeah.
All right. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't JVR for a second. I had PTSD.
Jesus.
Yeah. So here's and I feel like we've talked about this on previous shows, but what I found interesting was the Flyers had to sign Frost, York, and Cates all last offseason. They wanted to sign Cates and York to longer-term deals. I'm not sure how long, but it was longer than 2 years. They wanted to get them locked up, right? Before they didn't want to do this bridge deal stuff, right? If the agents know the cap's going up, obviously the Flyers know the cap's going up, and they wanted to lock it into, team-friendly kind of things. They didn't have the same intentions with Morgan Frost. They only offered Frost a short-term deal. And it was the opposite. Frost wanted longer as a player, normally would. And the Flyers would only offer him a shorter term deal. So I guess what I'm getting at is the Flyers as the organization maybe feel something similar where they want to see more from Frost. What player do we actually have here? And as compared to York and maybe Cates, where they say, okay, these guys are going to be better than, they're going to be better than what they are now. Let's lock them up. So just an interesting situation there. Frost to me last year, there were times when I was really, really impressed with Morgan Frost. And there weren't as many times where I'm like, this friggin' guy still doesn't get it. But there still were those times, those silly turnovers that don't need to happen. His defensive game got better. Vinny chiming in here on Frost. Vinny chimes in, Frost is a fine 2C in the league, but do you really give that guy a big contract regardless of his production when you just drafted your 2C of the future? And that's the thing. I think Luchanko, now they drafted him, he was 17. He recently turned 18. He'll be up here. I'm going to say that he's knocking on the door in his year 20 season when he turns 20. So let's say that that's 2 years. Do they bring him in as a third line guy and they kind of ease him in and let him take over the second line spot? Of course, this is down the line, but that's an interesting perspective to have there. Scott Taylor thinks Luchanko can make the Flyers next year. We'll see. But that comes back to Frost, Jack. Like, what do they do with them? I don't know. I'm still in the, do it again. I would like, personally, I'm still one of those guys where I would like to see Frost hit 50 points. And not just hit it, but like I don't want to see like on game 82, like an assist puts him at 50. You know what I mean? I want to see him clear it. And I want to see the points and goals show up when they matter kind of thing, like meaningful. You know what I mean? Because you can have a 50-point year and it's like, wow, that guy had a really good year. You can have a 50-point year and it's like, yeah, I still wanted more from him, like there's still meat on the bone there kind of thing, which is kind of how I felt this year. Solid year, but you just still feel like there's more meat on that bone.
Well, there should be, especially when you're talking about the kind of money they could be paying the guy. I don't know. The more I think about Frost with Luchanko, with Couturier signed as long as he is and no way out of that contract, with what they see in guys like Cates and Paling, and the only spot that Frost would make any sense is at, unless Luchanko is the number 1C, would be the number 1C. And I don't think he's the number 1C. I don't think anybody thinks he is. It would not surprise me at all. And this is saying this knowing they have little center depth. If they put him with, unless there's some kind of magical chemistry that's just truly, Michkov is banging down the door. This guy is my center. Like there are many like him, but he is mine. Like, I could see them using a swelling of stats where he gets 50, 60 points and they move him. Like, I don't think that's completely out of the realm. It felt like they've wanted to move him for a while now. I think like what I've read is Briere might be his only true guy in his corner. But if he's not going to get the opportunities as much as you think, because the coach pretty much hates him, he's the first guy to bench when things go wrong. I'm not sure what Jonesy feels about him. You need to move guys to get guys, and you have polls. It's gonna depend on a lot of factors. I can't just look at stats and say, well, that's it. It's gonna depend on how he acquired those stats and with who, and a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, it's tough to see a spot for him on the roster going forward.
Yeah, it is, and we'll see how things shake out. That's kind of one of the reasons why I love sports. It's like the most real reality TV show. When you kind of see how things shake out. Where's this guy's spot on the roster? Is he going to get benched? Can he put up a 50-point season? Can he be a legit 2C? All that and more. You just got to stay tuned for 82 games. So it's going to be something to watch. Vegas, whoa. Thanks, gents. I guess he's heading to bed there. And we probably should wrap this up soon too. So we'll save some topics for next week. Is there anything that you want to talk about before we wrap up our show tonight, Jack?
Not much. I'm just looking forward to the rookie game. No injuries. Those dirty Rangers, no injuries. we'll see Michkov's at least a hat trick. Like, I mean, anything short of that, it's going to be tough to swallow. So at least a hat trick, win. I think he's only playing in the first game. Could be wrong, but pretty sure he is.
Is that so?
I heard one game, and it doesn't make sense to not playing him in the first game. That'd be like a big.
I hope it's the first game this way. Not that I don't want to go to the second one, but I would prefer to just watch Michkov.
Right, and I think they understand that, but you never know. Schwartzel bench a guy in his hometown, so who the hell knows? I don't even know if he's there, but we'll see. And at the end of the day, we were that much closer to the season beginning, and I cannot wait.
That's right. This weekend, the rookie series game. So yeah, I'll be out there watching for Michkov, watching Luchanko. I'm really excited to get out there. It feels like, even though the Flyer season is still a few weeks away, a month away or so, it feels like it's really starting up this weekend. Flyers hockey's back. There's going to be players wearing the Flyers uniform, playing hockey at the PPL Center in Allentown. But it's hockey season, baby. So we're going to wrap this one up. We're going to have a lot to talk about next week, recapping the rookie games. Is the rookie game going to be online? Yeah, it'll be on PhiladelphiaFlyers.com, Scott. They put out an article today. Just find their go to PhiladelphiaFlyers.com. You could probably find more information there, but it'll be on the site, I believe. Anthony Vanit and Vegas signing out. We're signing out as well. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Chris, Sean C, Scott, Oakham. Missing some people here, missing some people. And maybe that's everybody. Dave was in there at some point. Who else did I miss? Dan. Yeah, chat was great tonight, guys. It's a lot of the regulars coming back from the off season. Good to see some of you guys.
Yeah.
So we'll be back next week talking Flyers rookie series, and we'll be back just after rookie camp wraps up. Flyers training camp. The big boys will be back in town. They'll just be getting warmed up. So yeah, we're back in full swing next week, boys and girls. We're wrapping up. Signing off for tonight for Jack. I'm Jim. See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.